right, so welcome to the lab for this part. The lab is kind of the main thing. This is your installation lab. So you're going to be installing a bunch of tools, and you're going to be making a very, very simple Google App Engine site. It's going to be your username, and then it's going to say install test. So I'll show you the finished product, then we'll talk more about what's going on. So the very finished product is that you can visit a site on the World Wide Web. You can go visit mine now. So my site is FisherDS, which is just my Rolls-Holman username, -install-test.appspot.com. And so kind of the point of this whole thing is just to make sure that you can create a Google App Engine backend. And the only thing that the page is going to say is just your username, right? So very, very simple. That's what we're going to use to grade. So you're going to send us that link and we're going to go to it and we're going to see that you've got everything set up. In order to get this page, there's actually a surprisingly high amount of work, right? So for one is at some point you're also going to be able to test locally. So if you go to localhost and then the right port number, which if you launch from Eclipse is always 8080. If you go to the right port number, you can see if here localhost is your own computer working as a server, so nobody else except for your computer could see that. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about the things that are going to have to go into to getting this done. The best way is to go into the lab and read all the details there. It really comes down to 4 installations. You're going to be installing Eclipse, Python, AppEngine, and then Pydev are the 4 things. Additionally, if you don't have Eclipse, or if you don't have the Java JDK, Eclipse will complain about that, and you'll have to fix that if you happen to be in that boat. Rose Computer should have the JDK. So these are the installs that you're going to do. The install is going to take like 2 hours, right? So there's a lot of installs. After the installs, we make sure that you can use it. So we have you build an app. So we have you register it with Google. Go through that setup. You're going to have to create an account with Google. And then you're going to have to use those tools you installed, create your very simple project. And so there's a lot of steps into this whole thing. So to be honest, I think that's really all I need to say. Then once you've got your form up, you can submit it to us. And you're just going to have your very simple install test. And that's how we know that your tools work and you can make Google App Engine backends. That's all I've got. You can stop the video here and you can start doing these things. If you would like, I had to install it on this machine as well, so I recorded when I installed it, so you can watch me installing it. It's not that exciting, but if you want to, you can look at that. But to be honest, I think I would probably stop the video now, use the instructions, and if I had trouble, then I'd come back and watch the rest of this video. So stop the video, go do the lab. All right, see you next time. Bye. All right, so you decided to watch me do the installs. It's not hard. There's a couple pieces we have to do. I'll just play the video of when I installed them. So we come down to the install overview. There are 4 pieces that you need. You need Eclipse. You need a Python 2, not Python 3. Big speeches on that, I'm sure, but the 2 are not compatible, and they really should almost just be called different languages, right? So we're using Python 2. We need the AppEngine SDK, and then we need Pydev for Eclipse. Those are the 4 pieces. Let's just go start getting them. So Eclipse, I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and just download the newest Java EE version that's available. So I go into this link, eclipse.org/downloads. There's a standard version. That's not what I want. There is the Java EE version. That is what I want. So you're going to have to pick your type of machine. Mine's a Windows 64-bit. And then you can go ahead and download this guy. Looks like it wants me to get it from Virginia Tech. That's fine based on where I'm at. And then it's going to save this guy. I'm just going to throw it in downloads for now. So now it's on its way. I could wait for it to finish, or I could start doing the next step. Doesn't really matter. Looks like it's downloading away. I'm going to go ahead and do the next step. Next step is Python 2. So for Python 2, there's a link here to the download page. From the download page, you can see that there's a bunch of links for Python 3 at the top, and then there's links for Python 2. So pick the newest Python 2 version that's appropriate for your machine. I'm going to pick the 64-bit Windows installer. So that is what I need for my machine. You can see it's a much smaller download. It finished before Eclipse did. The next things we're going to do is we're probably going to wait for that Eclipse to finish, to be perfectly honest. But we could go ahead if we wanted and do more things. So we could download the AppEngine SDK. So what you want to do is you want to find the right language, which is Python, and then you want to find the right one for your machine, which of course in my case is Windows, because that's what I'm using to film this video. And I'll throw it in the downloads area as well. All right, so I've got those pieces coming in. It looks like Eclipse is ready to go first. So once you've got that Eclipse zip open, what you should do is you should just go ahead and extract it. And so one of the neat things about Eclipse is that you don't really have to install it. You just have to decide where to put it. Is really the main thing. So I would, make a folder of your choice. However you want to organize things is fine with me. So my folder, I'll just call the folder Eclipse. Why not? So I'll extract it there. And then whenever I run it, I'm just going to need to go to that folder and open up Eclipse. Looks like it's doing its extraction thing. I guess while it's extracting, which is taking forever, it could go ahead and do some of the other steps. I could go ahead and start with the Python install if I wanted to do that. So install for all users, sure. I'm going to use the default directory. That seems like a fine place to me. So it's going to put it in C:\Python 27. So it's going to start doing its thing. I guess maybe I should have waited for Eclipse to finish because it's probably going to behave as slow as all get out as well. I'm going to say Python finish first. Cool. So I guess Eclipse is still chugging away, but I can go ahead and start up the Google AppEngine one. It's going to figure some space requirements. The screen takes a while. I've seen that one before. All right, it looks like some things are finishing up on me. It looks like the AppEngine one finished first, so what the heck, I'll go ahead and do him first. He's asking where he'd like to get installed. This path you'll actually need at various times, so you may as well just memorize it. So it's program files x86, Google AppEngine. So it kind of makes sense. It's a program by Google called AppEngine. Not too bad. All right. And so now we can go ahead and start the installation on AppEngine. If it asks you for permissions, then, great, go ahead and do it. So AppEngine is now kicking off. The other one that finished up is extracting Eclipse. I have no idea why extracting a file took more than 2 seconds, but apparently it did. It looks like my choice of names was poor. I created a folder called Eclipse and extracted it there, and it created a folder called Eclipse. I don't really want 2 folders called Eclipse. What I'm actually going to do is the inner one, this is the one that they made, I'm going to rename it. Instead of Eclipse, I'm going to call it Eclipse Luna EE, just because in 2014, Luna was the current version. And then I'm going to go ahead and move that up a layer so that my old Eclipse folder is now completely worthless. And now Eclipse is in a folder called Eclipse Luna EE, which more accurately describes it. To run it, all you really need to do is you just need to double click on this. Another thing that can help is it's nice to have a shortcut. So if I create a shortcut on the desktop, then I've got a shortcut that I can use from there. Now I can run it from that file or my shortcut. I chose to click on my shortcut just for giggles. As Eclipse loads, you're now seeing if your machine has the Java JDK. So if Eclipse needs the Java JDK, which it does, it needs it. If it's missing, you're going to have to go install it. And so you just look up Java JDK. It'll be provided from Oracle as a download. But I'm hopefully just going to get it, right? So apparently mine does have the Java JDK, which is good, so I don't have to worry about it. The next thing it wants a folder. It calls it a workspace. But whenever you create a new file, instead of asking you where should this project go, it just sticks it into your workspace. Typically what I do is I just find whatever class I'm working on, and then I create a folder in there called Eclipse Workspace, right? So, you can do this however you want. I'll just go ahead and make a folder in here called Eclipse Workspace. And that will be the folder that it puts new files into. So Eclipse is launching. It's my IDE, so it's my integrated development environment. It's where I'm going to put all my code. Probably, if you're a Rose student, you've used Eclipse quite a bit already. The reason we use the Java EE version, by the way, I meant to say this earlier, is because it includes extra packages, specifically ones that are good for web development. So if you're looking at an HTML file or a CSS file, they'll render much better with the Java EE edition because it has the Web Tools platform included. Once you start up Eclipse, pretty much this opening screen has never been useful to me. You just need to find this little jump to workspace. So now I jump to the workspace, and it looks like things loaded up for Eclipse just dandy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for my other installation to finish, my Google App Engine installation to finish. I better see where it's at. So it looks like it's almost done. All right, so my Google App Engine is now complete. So you can click on Finish, or you can say Run the Launcher. What Google App Engine Launcher is it's really just a helper program to help you do some common tasks. So if you want to, you can use it, but you don't have to. So there's some common things that you can do with Launcher. Looks like mine popped in with something. Yours won't pop in with anything, but mine did. It is a way that you can deploy your backend somewhere. It is not a tool for writing code. And to be honest, we're going to do most things with Eclipse. The only thing I'm ever going to do with Google App Engine Launcher is I like their templates. So whenever I create a new application, I'm actually going to do it from here, and we'll do that later. I'm going to go ahead and keep this open, but I'm going to go ahead and finish my installs with Pydev. So now I've got Eclipse, I've got Python, I've got Google App Engine. Now I need the plugin for Eclipse called Pydev. So let's go back and let's find the link for this guy. So this one is a little different. Oh, and there's some setup instructions here for Google App Engine. I don't think you'll need those. So you hopefully don't need those. If you have problems, you can look back in that area, but I don't think you'll need those. Let's go ahead and look at Pydev. So Pydev, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to install it from within Eclipse. So it says go to install new software. And this is the link that you're going to need. So I'm going to go and have that be on my clipboard. So I'm going to say help, install new software. If you think you've already got Pydev, there's information in the doc there about checking to see if you've already got it. But if you think that you're going to need to add it, like I will here, I'm just going to say Pydev, and then the location is going to be this link that I just copied in. So what it's going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to look to say, hey, at this link, is there anything that we want? And sure enough, there's Pydev. I don't need the myelin thing, right? So I'm going to click on Next down here. And then what it's going to do is it's going to install Pydev for me. Yes, I consider you trustworthy. Yes, I would like to restart Eclipse. Once you've restarted Eclipse, you can do a little setup for Pydev. You need to go into the Eclipse preferences, which on a Windows machine is under Windows Preferences. On a Mac, it's under Eclipse Preferences. And you need to go into Pydev, Interpreters, and you need to set your Python interpreter for this workspace. So this needs to know where is your copy of Python at. So we're going to say new, and I'm going to say this is my Python 2 interpreter, and it is under wherever you installed it is where it's at, but I put mine under Windows 27. And you may as well grab this Python W, which is Python for Windows. They're very similar. It makes sure not to show an ugly black box at times if you pick the W version. And you can go ahead and click on Apply to that. And at this point, I should be properly set up to use Eclipse and Google App Engine Launcher. The big test is that if you right-click in here and you say New Project, you can also get there from File, New Project. What you really want to see is that you want to see that you've got a Pydev area, and that inside that Pydev area, there's a place where you can check Google App Engine Project. If you can see this screen, then you're in good shape. The only thing that we're going to have you do in the lab is we're going to have you create a simple install test. And I'm going to go ahead and let the lab walk you through the steps on that. I had to do the install stuff, and so I thought I'd record myself doing it. All right, Good luck on the install test.